This was the second half of the third match in the Darkest Days 2v2 Historical Battle Tournament being held by the Total War Centre. I, Cluny the Scourge, and my ally Selifator were the Barbarians. I was Germania, he was Gaul. Our opponents are Merko and Mr Longbowman. Mr Longbowman played as the Julii, while Merko played as the Senate. Now, as the battle began, we Barbarians rushed our forces over to the left with the intention of forming a forward position, having decided on a proactive strategy to attack the Romans. The Romans, of course, have artillery and therefore the means to force us to attack them anyway if they use it wisely. But we don't intend to give them the chance. We're going to pick our target and unleash our full fury against it, barbarian style. Our hated civilized enemies are forming a coherent battle line, Senate on the right, Julii on the left. They perceive that the barbarians are rushing, and so the Julii go to a running pace there to complete the line as quickly as possible in case we're planning an early attack. They begin firing with their artillery. However, they do so on non-incendiary mode, which doesn't really make sense. They're only going to kill one, maybe two people with each shot, if that. This mode is for siege battles to bring down walls, or possibly when your artillery is in such a location that a shortfall from an incendiary pot might cause casualties to your own men, which is not the case here. So, the German skirmishers are in front, Spear Warbands are in line behind, Berserkers and Axemen are behind them, ready to swing around their flank. Screeching Women are in position behind, ready to provide their morale-boosting support. German and Gallic cavalry are massed on the right, ready to deliver a knockout blow to the Roman cavalry when possible. And here's the Gallic infantry, in line formation, linked securely with the German one. The tougher troops are in the woods, the chosen swordsmen there. My ally and I were cooperating using X-Fire in-game chat during this battle. And at about this time we were discussing our next moves. Now we analysed the Roman position and we noticed that, as you'll see here, a huge gap has opened up between the Julii infantry and the Senate infantry. The Julii are too far to the left, their left, or the Senate are too far to the right, one way or the other. The Romans have massed their cavalry. You see that they've switched to incendiary pots for their artillery there, realizing the futility of continuing with non-incendiary mode. The archers in front of the Roman line begin their attack against our skirmishers. They're completely expendable troops. Skirmisher Warbands are pretty useless, other than to act as a screen to absorb enemy missile fire. Massed Roman cavalry is a smart move for them, since they're facing that markedly superior barbarian cavalry. Now, my ally and I agree that we're going to throw everything we have against the Senate army while that gap exists between the two forces. We're going to concentrate against them. The Gauls will swing around the flank. We're going to destroy the Senate first, then turn to the Julii. As you can see, the Julii forces are still a considerable distance from the Senate. If I can close with my Spear Warbands, while the Gauls swing around the flank there with the naked fanatics and their warbands, we can fix them in place and roll up their flank, while on our right we present our cavalry in front of the massed Roman cavalry in the hope that they will be lured into making a strike against us, which they are. They go in, Senate cavalry alone, they've split their cavalry. They double right click all of their forces against one of our units instead of trying to achieve envelopments. We don't make that mistake. As you can see, our forces are trying to envelop on the left there. Our forces are superior to theirs, and since the enemy aren't using their infantry to support their cavalry, even though it's within reach, instead they've decided to rush their cavalry to join the Senate. we're pretty confident that we're going to win that cavalry battle. Here you see the phalanxes are forcing the Senate battle line to sunder. The Gauls have achieved an envelopment on that side. We've killed one of the enemy generals. We've split the Senate in half. We're rolling them up there very effectively. They're doomed already over there. In the central pocket, the Berserkers and Phalanxes are squeezing the other half of the Senate troops. Now the Julii infantry have rushed to help, but they've done so in one great disordered mob, double right-clicking to attack the whole lot against one German unit, and consequently most of those legionaries aren't actually doing anything. The troops at the back are simply waiting in line for those in front to be killed so they can queue up for their turn beneath good barbarian spears. Here you see the outcome that we anticipated from the cavalry battle has taken place. We've crushed them completely, we have total cavalry advantage, and we've killed their other general now as well. So we make the natural move and slam into the rear of the Julii infantry. The rearmost one routs immediately under the pressure, but that's a very thick mass of troops there, and we aren't going to simply shatter them with one blow. We have to perform a cavalry retreat and charge cycle. Pull back and then repeat the process for the benefit of the charge bonus and the natural shock effect of cavalry striking fixed infantry. There are more Julii routing there. Now over on the left you will see that we have completely destroyed the Senate. The Senate infantry has been devastated, split in half, enveloped, crushed. That's how to kill Romans. The Gallic Forester Warbands, the best archers in the game, are providing their missile support continually. Look at the good work that those Berserkers are doing. In fact, they remind me very much of Mel Gibson's character Riggs from the first Lethal Weapon movie, when he was still suicidal, caring nothing for his own life and therefore capable of defeating any opponent. Really now it's just a question of mopping up the remains of these last stubborn Julii cohorts, the ones who were at the rear of the queue. And at about this point in the game, our Julii opponent, Mr Longbowman, released a text message making it clear that he wished it to be known if I made a battle video of this tournament match, as he knew I would, that he was having keyboard problems, and that was his explanation for his defeat. Let's zoom in to watch the Berserkers doing some more killing. I absolutely love watching them do that. Killing is their business, and business is good. So, what can these poor Julii infantry do? Squeezed in by phalanxes from all sides, and assailed by hungry-faced, crazy-eyed lunatics who appear to be wearing a wolf each. That is a bad way to die. I would almost have some sympathy for those men if I didn't hate them so much. Here we see the Gallic Foresters finishing off the enemy skirmishers who were set to skirmish mode and so fled away from the main infantry engagement when the Gauls struck on the left, along with the regrouped remains of this early legionary cohort, pursued by a horde of Wardogs released by yours truly. They are in fact man's best friend, as long as you appreciate that the man in question is me. Certainly they aren't the best friends of the Romans they're trying to eat. So, why did this battle go the way it did? Our opponents made three main mistakes. First, they allowed a gap to form between their two armies, while the barbarians fought as one. Second mistake, when they released their cavalry, they failed to seek to achieve envelopments or to support their cavalry with infantry. And finally, when the Julii infantry was rushed back to support the Senate, they failed to split troops over to the left and to the right to envelop, but instead sent them in one heaving jumbled mass that made easy prey.